everyone. It's a while ago since we talked about why we had the boat built like it is and what we wanted. I just thought I'd explain a few things to you, why we'd made certain choices and why we wanted the boat, everything like it is, designed mostly by us. We wanted it to look like a Steve Hudson interior, and there's plenty of these bits and pieces we've incorporated, but we had a few of our own things as well, which as the years went by other people copied, which is no bad thing. It's a nice complimentary thing when that happens. But as you all know, Steve Hudson, or most people know, built decent boats. And we're going to look at the interior of the shell, not talk about the shell, just the interior fit outs. We had certain ideas for the wood we use in the boat and how we wanted it, and I'll just show you some of the things what we had done. It was very important for us because we wanted something long lasting, that we had a lot of solid hardwoods in this boat, and that is one of the things today what would make narrowboats currently being built so expensive is the price of solid timber. Phenomenal. But we'll show you what we've got, and I think it would be rare these days to have a boat built now of solid wood because of the sheer cost, so at the moment some compromises are being made, because if you didn't, it would be astronomical, the price of a boat, and I don't think in this present climate there's too many people around who want to spend that sort of money. But I'll show you what we had done, bearing in mind it is 13 and a bit years ago. After so many times doing things in boats, we had a really good idea of what we wanted in this narrowboat we have now, which is our forever boat. The one thing we wanted, and that's for certain, is for our boat to actually look like a boat interior. The last thing we wanted was it to be a bit, over the top, or for the fit out to look like it's inside a normal house, which does happen a lot. So that was priority number one. The next thing is what materials we wanted to use to do the fit out. We didn't want any painted wood. These are our choices. No painted wood. We wanted no MDF, chipboards, or block boards or anything like that. We wanted as much solid wood as possible. We chose the timbers we wanted to use, and the timbers were, and they're all sustainable, were American white oak. The reason being, it's got no knots in it, and we wanted it all to be solid wood, so I didn't want any what they call dry knots which could fall out on the cabin sides or below the gunnels. So that was number one. The next thing is round anywhere where we had water, condensation, or any chance of like that, or rain falling on doors and that. We didn't want oak then, we wanted a sustainable hardwood, and we picked Utility because if condensation goes on it, or you know it gets rain on, you know it's rained upon, it doesn't deteriorate and get all these white marks which you can get on the on the lighter woods. And it also give a contrast on the interior, because bear in mind we're looking at making the interior look like a boat. That's what we wanted. Right, so we'll just go into detail about a few bits and pieces, because what we was determined not to have is what they call a kooky cutter boat. There's a few of them around and they seem to be increasing. I'll let you look on Google what that means. But yeah, we wanted ours to look like an Hudson but feel like a Keith and Bernadette boat. I'll just explain a few things about what we did. When we designed the interior of our boat, we didn't have any, we weren't interested, you know, in the CAD stuff, all this computer aided drawing and all that. We did it all by hand. It's the same as when, you know, when they're fitting out of the boat. We didn't want a boat to be built where everything was done off site and come back and fitted into the boat, because everything's the same, you know, same position for units, etc., same shape, so they know exactly what's what. We want it to be done, or wanted it to be done with character. Like I say, in-house was important, and we had some very skillful men in Steve Hudson's yard who did this fit out, as well as the quality of the wood what we got. That being, we mean that every piece of wood in the boat was kiln dried, no moisture in it, so we don't have any wood movement, which we thought was important. And it turns out to be a good idea, built on experience. The other thing is, all the wood what we've got, it's not been spliced or pieced. You know, the massive sections, you know, full length pieces on the cabin and on the hull sides. There's nothing pieced together, or like I say, or spliced. And that's because we knew what we were looking for, and the family, you know, in our family, we're lucky that there's a lot of practically minded people, and we have two good carpenters who told us about what woods work in boats. And American white oak is full of grain as well. You know, the grain's beautiful, absolutely gorgeous, and that's what we love. It's nice and warm as well. You know, we didn't want any very, very light painted colours or anything like that, because that feels a bit too cold for us. Like we say, we wanted it to look like a boat interior, but the fact that all the wood are such chunky, long pieces is brilliant. The other thing as well, behind our T&G on the hull and cabin, we had plywood first, all along, and then the wood's put onto it, you know, the tongue and groove. So that's another reason why it probably didn't move. But it's things like that what you don't see, but you know it means the build quality is pretty special. light is not a problem either. What we learned over the years boating is we didn't want too much glass in our boat when we had it built. Just didn't want it. We like to have the options. Portholes, opening portholes all along for us look really nice, coupled with the utility wood, which won't stain if there's any bits of condensation or anything like that. And it just suits, you know, it's a lovely contrast on the boat. The side hatches, like we've said before, if we want more light, we open them, whether in winter or summer, because we have the glass front covers to help us out, and we can please ourselves. Do we want it airy and light, or do we want it darker and cosy, particularly in the winter months? And it works very well for us. But we do have another little thing what helps us out as well for getting light into the boat, but the main thing is it wasn't too much glass. Like I say, it's not practical. If it's full of glass, there's a couple of things. One is, in summer it gets too hot, and in winter it causes problems with condensation or gets cooler, so you end up closing the curtains for various reasons, and that's something what we wanted to avoid. But I'll just go along here now, and if you look just there, they are prisms which let loads of light in, again, so we don't have any problems with any form of you know, being in the dark or anything like that. It's all about knowledge, understanding and design, and after so long we got to know what's what and what works and what doesn't. So you've seen that bit. When we was having the boat built, there's a few things we wanted what were slightly different, and we found this chandlery down south somewhere. I can't remember now because it's a while ago. It might be Southampton. And we found these side lights from a company called Calibra Marine, and they're absolutely lovely and very, very versatile. We've explained a few things, you know, now, and we'll just go through a few other bits, our other ideas, when we've mixed what we wanted with what Steve did as well. It was a nice mixture. The next few things we'll show you. One is, we didn't want a multi-fuel stove. We've had that, but it doesn't half make a mess in the boat, and I'm not into coal. Carting coal, so we wanted a traditional looking diesel stove with its own separate tank, not pumped but by gravity, to keep it all very simple. A lot of people have diesel stoves and they have the tank, you know, have it supplied from the main tank. We don't want that. I don't want diesel pipes running all through the boat, because if you get a leak it causes mega issues, and we'll show you that next. Sadly the Caranda 2D, which is what we've got, has stopped being made now. I've no idea why, because it's a cracker, and the good thing is I know how to repair a lot of that if there's a problem. But there are other companies who make a more traditional looking stove rather than the they're really modern looking. And you've got bubble stoves, and where people get these reflex stoves at Lockgate, you know, the silver ones or the copper coloured or the brass, which people love but not for us, they do a conversion of a Morso squirrel, which is pretty good as well. So we, being more traditional than modern, we never want a bright silver, gold or whatever colour. We just want a nice traditional looking black stove, and it works well in this boat, it really does. The other thing is, when we're aboard, you know, it's because we don't live permanently on board, things are slightly different. And one of the things we wanted was entertainment. When we're aboard, entertainment choices. Now that's quite, on this boat particularly, that's quite a big thing, how we've got it designed, and I think it might be appropriate to do a separate little video on that. Won't take long, but it'll explain a lot more things. So we'll come to the entertainment side in another video. But as we stand now, we did a lot of design thinking and put our experiences to good measure, and we'll show you a few of them in a minute and then come back to you. But first of all, have a look at the diesel stove and see what you think. As everybody knows as well with the narrowboat, well, not everybody, but the best thing you can do is get a feeling of space, particularly in the area you spent the most time in. There's nothing worse than feeling enclosed in. Or there wasn't for us, so we thought long and hard about things and come up with our own type of design, and it's worked well. We also looked at storage space, thought long and hard about that, and also the radiators. Now we didn't want the radiators just there, whatever colour, black, white, grey, just on view, and we like to have them built in with a nice oak finish. And if we wanted to take the front cover off to see the radiator, well and good, but we never have, and we think it just makes the boat look more and more like a narrowboat interior should do, in our humble opinion. So we'll just show you a few other bits now. We'll show you our chairs as well. We have two chairs what we had specially made for us, with full back support and in proportion to a narrowboat size. That was important to us because some chairs can be just look absolutely huge in a narrowboat, and we wanted something comfortable, and it also matched in with the setup and the way we wanted the boat to look. So you can have a look at that as well. absolutely amazing when you're trying to go through things on a boat, how long it takes. You wouldn't think you could fit that much in to talk about. But I think in the next part we'll just talk a bit more about why we chose L-shaped seating rather than the Pullman dinette style. And also we've got our design of the galley, the bathroom and the bedroom. You know, I do some daft things, me. I recently spent £1,000 hiring a limousine, and then I find out it doesn't come with a driver. So I spent all that money and got nothing to show for it. You know, our house is a 5-minute walk to the pub, but when I've been there and I'm coming back home from the pub to our house, it takes us 45 minutes. Unbelievable, isn't it? The difference is staggering. A good friend of mine has just got another promotion at work, and he says he knows the secret. He says, what? He says, well, every time I go into work, I make certain I can hide. I said, well, how does that work? Well, said they keep saying good employees are hard to find. That's Joke Corner completed this week. I hope you enjoyed them. I don't know if they're jokes or not. But that's it for now. Stay safe, stay healthy, and we look forward to you joining us next time. Ta-ra!